Hi, I'm Dr. LauraAnn Migliori. Welcome to this video on transforming your research writing using IRAC and MEAL to build stronger arguments. If you're a doctoral student, researcher, or anyone looking to strengthen your academic writing, you are in the right place. I've worked with many doctoral students, and I know how overwhelming it can be to move from descriptive writing to persuasive scholarly argument. That's why I'm sharing this powerful strategy with you so that you can write with greater confidence and clarity. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like and share it with somebody in your academic or professional circle who might benefit from it. And if you're new here, well, please consider subscribing to stay connected. I post tips and tools to help you learn and lead with excellence. So let's begin. Why does strong argumentation matter in doctoral writing? Well, simply put, it moves your writing from being merely descriptive to truly persuasive. It's how you demonstrate critical thinking and synthesis. More importantly, strong arguments help justify your study with confidence and scholarly credibility. We will explore two frameworks that, when used together, create clear, compelling arguments. IRAC helps organize major sections like your problem and purpose statements, just like a legal brief. The meal plan helps you structure each paragraph so that your writing flows logically and persuasively. Together, they give your voice structure and strength. Now, IRAC stands for the issue, the rule, the application, and the conclusion. And first, what you do is you define the core issue or gap in the research, then you present the rule or what the current literature says about it, then you apply it to your specific context or study. Finally, you conclude with a scholarly takeaway. That is your rationale for the research, and this becomes your strategic map for section level writing. Now let's take a look at the meal plan for paragraph writing. That's right. The MEAL stands for the main idea. M, E is for evidence. It gives the support information of credible sources. The A is your analysis. That's your unique interpretation or the insight that you're drawing from the analysis. The link, that's what ties it all together and transitions to the next point. And this is where your voice shines. Now, the key with this is that for each paragraph, you have only one main topic that you're discussing. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how the IRAC and the MEAL work together to strengthen your research writing. And IRAC isn't just for law, it's a powerful tool to develop a structured scholarly argument. You can use it to frame major sections like your problem statement, purpose statement, or rationale. You want to start with a clear issue, support it with scholarly rules or literature, explain how it applies to your specific study, and end it with a well-reasoned conclusion. Then, within each section, you apply that meal plan to build paragraphs that flow. So you start with what that main idea is. Remember, only one main idea per paragraph. You support it with evidence. You analyze that evidence in your scholarly tone, and you link it forward. So when combined, the IRAC and the meal help you write with purpose and clarity, making your proposal not only informative, but also convincing and research worthy. Let's walk through how to apply the IRAC framework to make a strong case for research. And first, I'm going to start just with a quick overview using a blank IRAC template just to explain the logic and the flow. So, for example, the issue might sound something like this. Few studies have explored X in Y, whatever that context is. The rule begins with in the relevant literature or theoretical grounding, right? So according to authors A, B, and C, then you get to the application where you explain why the existing research does not fully address the specific focus or context. And then the conclusion, because you would say, like, well, the findings don't yet address what Z is. And then the conclusion would state why the gap justifies the need for your proposed study. All right, so now let's apply this framework to a real-world research situation. And we're going to use the commercial space industry and supply chains. And specifically, we're going to be looking at upstream supply chain transparency. So here, the issue would be few empirical studies have explored how upstream supply chain transparency impacts manufacturing efficiency among original equipment manufacturers, also known as the acronym OEM, partners in the commercial space sector. The rule, so it would be according to recent research by Berger 2023, McKinsey and Company 2024, and NASA's Office of Inspector General 2023, aerospace OEMs like SpaceX and Blue Origin increasingly rely on distributed, high-tech supplier networks, but often lack real-time data sharing standards. So let's look at the application now. These findings highlight persistent gaps in real-time visibility protocols and predictive inventory models, especially across privately held space firms. However, they do not directly examine collaborative data sharing mechanisms between primary OEMs and secondary suppliers. So, therefore, what's our conclusion? Well, this lack of clarity justifies the need for a focused study on how strategic data transparency between Tier 1 suppliers and OEMs influences production timelines, cost containment, and risk mitigation in the space launch ecosystem. Now, you can find a more detailed version of this example along with these citations and links to the supporting sources. I'm going to include it as a downloadable PDF that accompanies this video. All right, so now let's take that example and let's apply meal to it. So what does that look like in our first paragraph as we're, say, developing the problem statement? We're going to use the main idea, one main idea per paragraph. So this would be what we're talking about. The commercial space industry faces growing pressure to streamline supply chains as launch demand increases. What's our evidence? A recent Deloitte report revealed that over 65% of launch delays stem from inefficiencies in multi-tier supply coordination, particularly in critical engine and avionics components. For example, a 2023 satellite integration program experienced a 6-week delay when a Tier 2 subcontractor failed to deliver heat shielding materials due to mismatched production forecasts. And this was a result that data was not visible to the OEM until the delay occurred. So our analysis then would be this illustrates that example. We're building on that example. This illustrates a critical vulnerability for OEMs like SpaceX and Blue Origin. Despite their vertical integration models, both firms still rely heavily on just-in-time inventory strategies. Without shared data systems across the supply chain, they remain exposed to avoid delays and cost overruns. So let's link this. Thus, a closer investigation into collaborative supply chain transparency mechanisms may yield actionable insights for improving efficiency and resilience in next-generation space launch operations. This qualitative needs assessment study We'll explore the perceptions, challenges, and expectations of key decision makers within OEM and Tier 1 supplier firms. The goal is to identify communication breakdowns and opportunities for implementing collaborative data sharing solutions. Again, you will find this complete example and details along with a curated illicit.com notebook with supporting sources in a downloadable PDF link in this video. Now, that said, the example I just shared with you is provided for educational and demonstration purposes only. While it reflects real challenges facing the aerospace sector, it may not include the most current or company-specific data and therefore should not be interpreted as a definitive research. However, proper due diligence is essential when designing your own study, and the sources that are cited are offered as a starting point to help you think critically and begin your scholarly exploration with purpose and clarity. Ultimately, don't just follow structure. What you want to really do is to own your own argument. You want to use the IRAC and the meal plan as a strategic way to deliver your message, and each point with scholarly clarity. Writing should be more than just checking boxes. It really is about developing your authentic academic voice, and that is the goal here. All right. Well, that said, I just want to thank you for joining me today. Remember, your voice matters, and the clarity of your argument is what carries your research forward. I hope this video helped you feel more confident using the IRAC and the MEAL frameworks to write with structure and purpose. You can also access this detailed example that was shown in the video via my Linktree URL, which is provided here on this slide. It's also going to be available in the description of the YouTube video. And if you're working on your dissertation, guiding others, or if you're just passionate about learning and leading with excellence, I invite you to like the video with a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more tools and strategies to support your growth as a scholar leader. Turn on those notifications and you'll never miss a video. Until next time, stay curious, stay faithful, and keep learning forward.